Empty Nests is not an episode of The Golden Girls. Technically it is. It's the 26th episode of the second season. It's directed by Sandrich, and it is the lowest rated episode on IMDb by far. There are 10 episodes with a rating of 6 point something. Every episode above that is rated 7 or higher, which is phenomenal. And then Empty Nests is rated 3.6. That is terrible. That is an atrocious rating. To think that all of the 176 episodes are rated 6.2 or higher, and only 10 of those are in the 6s. Everything else is 7 and 8s and above. And this one is 3.6. That should go some way to telling you how terrible this is. And there is a reason why it doesn't feel like The Golden Girls, but it doesn't mean that it was a good decision. I will talk about what happens in the episode a little bit, I guess. I don't really care about what happened in it, and I'll talk about why that's the case. But I'll go through the narrative in a moment. But the reason it's called Empty Nest is because it was actually supposed to be the pilot for a TV show called Empty Nests. And the year after this, the Empty Nest show did air, but it was vastly different. The characters, the casting, everything about it was different. So even though this is technically serving as a pilot for that TV show, you shouldn't create the pilot for a show within another show, particularly when that show is doing exceptionally well. And this episode is just absolutely horrendous. The Golden Girls themselves are in it for, I'd say, less than half. They might as well have not been in it. They served no purpose, really. Obviously, we get a bit of comedy out of them, and I'll talk about that in a moment as well. But they definitely just said, well, people are going to watch this episode because The Golden Girls is doing very well as a TV show, so let's introduce this new TV show within this TV show. And it just fell apart, and it's utterly horrendous. So I don't recommend it. I don't like it. I'll never ever watch it again. But I will now talk about it in a little bit more detail. What I did like is that we have Rita Moreno. And I do like Rita Moreno, so that was really exciting. She plays a character called Renee, who is a neighbour to the Golden Girls. And her children have left home, so she's suffering from empty nest depression. And her husband is working a lot. He does a really important job. He's a medical professional. And she's worried about telling him that she misses him and wants him around more because he's doing an important job. And the episode is basically all about that. And I couldn't care less. I genuinely don't care about these characters because I have no connection to them. And we don't get any connection to them because, as I said, everything was completely changed by the time that TV show came about. Had Empty Nests launched after this episode, then maybe with hindsight, it would be a good episode to see how it all began. But on its own, it's not a good episode. The characters are not interesting. They basically just said, The Golden Girls is a successful show. Let's make them neighbours. We can then launch the show in an episode of The Golden Girls. And it didn't go according to plan. And based on this episode, there's no surprise there. It is utterly boring. If you're in the mood for The Golden Girls, don't watch this episode. Dorothy did have some amazing facial expressions pretty much throughout the entire episode. And that's about it. There's nothing else in this that I think was very entertaining. Nothing at all. That's a lie. The set design for Renee and her husband George's house is really beautiful. I really liked the set design for that. And I haven't seen the other TV show, and I don't know if the set design remained the same or if they decided to completely just revamp everything. But certainly I liked the set design in this. Rita Moreno was really nice. And that's it. I can't find anything else about this to praise. If you're a fan of The Golden Girls and you want to watch an episode of The Golden Girls, don't watch Empty Nests. There is a reason why, by far, it is the lowest rated episode on IMDb, at least. It just baffles me that only 10 are in the 6s. Everything else is 7 or above, and this is 3.6. It's laughable. I don't know why they thought this was a good idea. Clearly it isn't a good idea, and I have nothing else to say. Empty Nests was a complete waste of time for me as a viewer. it seems like it was a complete waste of time for the show. And unfortunately, as a season finale, it's not worth anything at all.